wanted their voices to be heard, and they wanted the chief and I to listen to them on the changes they thought needed to be made, and they wanted a plan for real change. And so we're starting tomorrow.
But for tonight, a curfew is back in place. The city of Seattle extending its overnight curfew until Saturday. That means unless you're out working, you cannot be out on the streets between 9 p.m. and 5 a.m. Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Mark Wright.
I'm Jessica Janner Castro. People are still out there protesting tonight, but significantly different from what we saw last night. Things have been peaceful. Let's check in now with our reporter, Ted Land, who's out there amongst those folks. Ted?
Yeah, we're about a block away from the gathering. This is at 12th and Pike, one of the lines where police are blocking access to the street here. You can see this is what it looks like up close. They have about 2 lines of law enforcement just standing ready to try and prevent anybody from going down the streets. We had an overhead view of this intersection earlier tonight as some people gathered out here and were chanting. Here's what that sounded like.
Take our knee! Take our knee! Take our knee! Take our knee!
So there are still hundreds of people on scene about a block from here, peacefully demonstrating. They're very loud. There's a helicopter overhead. There's still a lot of activity out here tonight. A lot of the crowd had dispersed earlier. And there were some questions really about what happens with the message that everybody has been talking about on the streets today and over the weekend. What do you do with those words? And for the people who are not here, I talked to some of the people in the crowd about how they take this message beyond this march.
I think it's extremely important as long as you're anti-racist and you're actively anti-racist. If you're not here, that doesn't mean you're not necessarily helping. I think if you continue to donate and reach out to your Black community and help your Black brothers and sisters without being here, it's just all about helping. It's about caring.
There are a lot of ways. There's a lot of ways to show up.
Definitely.
And if you're not out here, there's a pandemic going on, so people have good reason to be staying safe. But someone had a sign out here that said racism is a public health crisis, and that's true. I mean, people are dying from both things, and so, if you are not at risk, this is where you should be.
Yeah.
So again, tonight's demonstration, peaceful. Still a lot of people here on Capitol Hill making a lot of noise. We don't know where they'll be going next. There are various groups among them, some just individuals, and making some spontaneous moves throughout the city. So they're still up here on Capitol Hill, still a sizable group of hundreds of people. That's the latest up here. And I'll send it back to you guys.
All right, Ted, thank you. The Seattle Police Chief, Fire Chief, and Mayor all spoke directly to protesters this afternoon. Mayor Jenny Durkin said she wants people to push for change, but she also plans to work with them.
Generations of Black Americans and other people of color have too long been denied true justice. We in our country were founded upon a premise that blacks were not equal. Systemic racism was built into our Constitution. We've got to change that. Your voices holding me accountable, are important, and you should continue to raise them. We want you to march. We want you to raise your voices. We want you to continue on the path of justice. But we need you, please, to do it peacefully. And we know you can. We saw it yesterday. It was a beautiful, beautiful march for hours.
The mayor there this afternoon. Our team coverage continues now with King 5's Greg Copeland. Greg?
She asked for a peaceful protest, and that's exactly what we've had most all day today, except a few fireworks. Other than that, that's all we have seen today. Lots of chants, a lot more Black Lives Matter, much more focused today than it was last night here, about 3 times as many people. They want answers, and today they took those questions down to the Emergency Operations Center. They wanted to talk to the mayor, they wanted to talk to the chief of police, and both of them came out and addressed about 700 of those protesters who had marched down there. Here's what Chief Carmen Best said.
I am here to tell you I stand with you. I really stand with you. I understand the hurt and the anger that everyone feels, especially after the death of George Floyd. It just represented one more issue, one more thing that we have to deal with as a community. But you know, as a black woman, you know, I feel the same pain you feel. And just because I wear the uniform, that doesn't change that. And there's a whole lot of people who support you. Myself and many of the officers that are here today, I know you're angry about some things that happened last night. We'll review it, we'll look at it, we're listening, but they support you too. Nobody wants to see another black man dead at the hands of police or anybody else. So we're listening. We are listening to everything. I appreciate the fact that people have come together, that they're feeling a level of rage and a level of anger, but let that anger drive you toward a positive change, to systemic changes that we need, not only in criminal justice, but in criminal justice, in health care, in education, and everywhere else, right? Right, so this is our opportunity. Take advantage of your opportunity, but I'm going to ask you, I'm going to beg you to do so peacefully so that your message can be heard and is not co-opted by people who want to do wrong in this city.
So a lot of chants, a lot of signs, a lot of cell phones, a lot of knee pads and respirators and goggles and face masks and milk bottles and jugs of water, just in case there is anything. What we've not seen a lot of today is violence, and that's been a really good thing. We're live up on Capitol Hill. I'm Greg Copeland, King 5 News.
Boy, that is a good thing. Greg, thanks for that. So those arrested over the weekend were in court today, which means we're getting some information about them. We are not allowed to show you their faces because of a court order. Seattle police sent us this data, which they stress is very preliminary. The list is 82 lines long. It mostly includes charges of assault of officers, obstruction, and burglary. A majority of the people arrested appear to be from Washington. We also know that 32 are identified as white, 8 are identified as black, but again, more than 30 entries do not include race. We should also mention 12,000 complaints have been filed over the police response this weekend. The Office of Police Accountability is reviewing and processing those claims.
So we mentioned Seattle, but several other cities have curfews in effect right now. Tukwila and Issaquah's both run until tomorrow morning at 6, but Issaquah will have the same curfew through Thursday, June 4th. Redmond's and Bellevue's curfews both end tomorrow morning at 5. Mercer Island's curfew lasts until 5 tomorrow morning, but will be in effect nightly through Friday. A curfew also went into effect in Tacoma at 9:30 tonight. 2 high school classmates at Tacoma School of the Arts organized this protest Monday. It was a peaceful demonstration in Tacoma. Hundreds of people gathered in Wright Park to listen to speakers, also laid down for 9 minutes as a tribute to George Floyd.
I didn't want to be the face of it. Like, I created it, but it was for the people. Seeing that many people really just opened my eyes and showed me how much people cared.
And Tacoma's mayor released a statement which reads, quote, "We need more allies. We need more peaceful demonstration and expression of what we believe to be just. We need to join together in saying that enough is enough and then take action to back those words."